Okay, it is after 4 o'clock. A quorum is present. The October 20th meeting of the Board of Health is now open. Just to remind you all that this meeting is being audio and visually recorded. Just one other issue. We have an updated agenda from the one previously sent. I just want to make sure that the entire board is comfortable with the updated and approve the updated agenda. So being, we will work with the updated agenda. Are there any comments from the public on any issue, any subject that is not on the agenda? Okay, quiet time. Minutes of October 11th. Those were distributed. Any comments, additions, corrections, additions, complaints? Hearing no objections, those minutes are approved by unanimous consent. And now we go back to Hummock Pond aggregate plan that we had postponed. We did discuss this back on September 15th, and we decided that it was modestly complicated, and I wanted to make sure everybody on the board had the input into this. So, Roberto, you want to update us where we are on this?
Yes,
and I think we'll let people speak.
Yes. Yes. So we had tabled this originally because we wanted to make sure that everyone on the board heard the presentation. You weren't here at the last meeting, so we were looking to make sure we get your thoughts on this one as well, considering there was some idea about the difference between the aggregation and the IA systems in Zone B. So we tabled it for today, and we were going to see if we can take some comments from Mr.
Right.
Wilson.
Does anyone wish to comment? Just come forward, identify yourself, find a microphone.
Looks like the microphone is there.
Right there?
If you're
Wherever you're comfortable.
I don't want to be jumping. I thought it would work.
Oh, God.
My name is Greg Ross, and I'm the president of the Hummock Pond of Nantucket Homeowners Association. We wanted to provide just some additional input to the process from before. There's a letter from us in your packet. I have a hard copy of it if anyone would like that instead of iPads.
I'm not an iPad person, I'm sorry.
Neither is Bill Belichick.
Those of us around 70 are still a little behind.
Yeah, I got it on.
Oh, thank you.
So at the September 15th meeting, we presented our request to be considered for an aggregate plan for our four-bedroom systems, and the board wanted to consider it, as the chairman said, in light of other decisions you had made, and specifically the comment about Fisher's Landing
Right.
came up. So we put this little background together. I'd just like to go through it.
Please.
So, again, the background, just to bring everybody up to speed, is we're asking for approval for an aggregate nitrogen plan for Hummock Pond of Nantucket subdivision. We've got 36 homes on 72 acres of property. They're all individual lots ranging from a half to 3/4 acre. The aggregate plan would allow homeowners, 22 of which are in Zone B and the rest outside of the watershed, to repair or replace existing traditional systems, provided those homes don't exceed 4 bedrooms. Under our proposed plan, we would set aside 13 acres of open space that we own to provide the equivalent of the 1 acre absorption area to meet town and Title V requirements for up to 4 bedrooms, for a total of 144 bedrooms for the 36 homes. The property area of our subdivision, which is under conservation easement, would actually provide for absorption for 288 bedrooms. Which is twice the capacity we're seeking approval for, and just attached to this is a little plot plan of the open area and so forth. So at your September 15th meeting, there was a concern that making a decision to approve our plan might be inconsistent with decisions you made for homes in Fisher's Landing. And we'd just like to point out that we feel our situation is distinct from Fisher's Landing. Fisher's Landing is in Zone A and we're in B. Our understanding is that Zone B areas are primarily buffers, while Zone A areas are the ones with the immediate and direct impact on the body of water. Also, town regulations for the Hummock Pond watershed state that existing developed property should be allowed to repair and replace existing subsurface systems with nutrient-reducing technologies or technologies acceptable to the board. Okay, so it is not absolutely a requirement that IA systems be put in. So we're requesting that the board approve our plan to aggregate enough credit land for each home in Hummock Pond, the Nantucket subdivision, to repair or replace existing systems with traditional systems, provided those uses do not exceed 4 bedrooms. Such approval would not be inconsistent with Fisher's Landing because of the Zone A versus B, and would be permitted by 5602. Any homeowner who wants to exceed 4 bedrooms would be required to install an innovative alternative system. And so we appreciate your consideration of this and allowing us to show up 3 or 4 times to talk about it. Thank you.
I guess just one question. I mean, how is this helping Hummock Pond?
It is, I guess what I would say is that it's not doing anything worse to Hummock Pond. These are built systems. They're already in place. If they failed for technical or other reasons, they would be replaced. And the nitrogen absorption area is sufficient, overly sufficient for what you would typically expect.
But they would be replaced by conventional systems.
Yeah, up to 4 bedrooms. If they exceeded 4 bedrooms, they'd have to go.
And you're as well as in Zone B.
Zone B, right.
So actually, is there 2 requests here? There's a plan request and there's a variance request?
Yes, to
If
yes.
once I thought this through, there's really
It's kind of two-faceted requests. One, so that they can codify and make sure that they can always be allowed to have their 4-bedroom
right,
system,
which has never been codified before.
which one hadn't been codified before. The other one is for half of their development is in Zone B, so they are also requesting so that those, I think it's 16 or 17 properties,
22.
or the 22 properties.
If they have to be replaced, they would be replaced with a conventional system.
That's the
not an
request.
IA, because the way it says the word is "or" in there.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, technically it may not be a variance because your regulation would permit it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we were just. It's we in the staff would normally require the IA, and it's been the policy of always requiring the IA, which is why it's at the board.
So it's not even a variance; it's a statement of a policy.
Technically, yes, but it's to set the precedent mainly because we would set the.
But if we
IA.
were to grant the variance, then if we did or did not grant the variance, then it would be a sense easier for you because then you would have you would have it
we would
set.
have
You wouldn't have to come back to us all the time. And I did go back and look at Fisher's Landing, and actually we didn't really approve a aggregate system. We just negotiated bedrooms.
For the existing lots that were still
Yes.
vacant.
So it wasn't. So it was actually. So it was very different than this.
Well, a little bit. I mean, they total bedroom wise, they still had like 130 something bedrooms available. So if we give what they want to do, then those 10,000 square foot lots out there could potentially say, well, my engineer said I could fit a 6-bedroom conventional on my 10,000 square foot
Yeah,
lot.
I'm uncomfortable with that.
But can't you make a distinction between A and B? They're substantially different zones.
Yeah, and the request here is to also limit to 4, so that they can never install a 6.
But
And
correct me if I'm wrong, that land that you propose to aggregate, it's already restricted. It'd be different if you were going to restrict a piece of land that was developable and you haven't developed it yet.
No, I guess what we're saying is that land exists and provides the nitrogen absorption area that would be required and couldn't be used for anything else. It's not like we could sell it or somebody else could develop it. It's there, and in fact, we're asking for, it's 55 acres. We're saying 13 just to create the cap, so somebody couldn't put in 8 bedrooms, for example. That's why we're technically asking for 13, but that whole 55 acres is available for absorption, and it's under conservation easement with the land bank and land council. We can't do anything with it. So there's,
so is Fish's Landing. So I don't think we should distinguish between A and B. I mean, the only difference between A and B is that A is within 600 feet of, or 300 feet down gradient of the, you know, and then B is just further out, you know, but it's still part of the same watershed.
well,
I just have a problem with, it kind of stinks, and I get where you're coming from, that Zone B cuts through half the subdivision, but that's the way it is now.
But the problem I have is if someone down the road has 10 acres and their system fails, right, they have to go to an IA system, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't have an aggregate thing like, we're giving these guys an aggregate thing. My problem is if someone
Well,
comes
if you
in.
get 10 acres, you've got more than 10,000 square feet per bedroom. The problem is with the size of the lots. And when you did the subdivision years ago, the 75% goes into conservation.
Right.
And it was, the planning board was, and they liked that because you were leaving all the open space. But now, here it is all these years later, and the rules have changed. You've got more people, you've got more lots than you could done with the property when it was existing. That's why people did the clusters.
It was LUG 2, Zone 2. So in order to get the cluster, they had to have
Right.
It's
72 acres. And I think the point about I guess the question I would have is if somebody in Zone B, further down in Hummock Pond, has 2 acres and they wanted to put a 4-bedroom system in, would that be permitted?
Yeah, because they have 10,000 square feet.
Okay, so our argument is we have the equivalent of that absorption area and more. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to say, is that we own all that land. It just happens to be a cluster subdivision, but
that's it's the same thing as what Fish's Landing
That's
was
what
trying
Fish's
to say.
Landing has, the same thing.
There's little lots in there, 10,000, and I know there's 4 or 5 of them on 10,000 square feet that have 6-bedroom septics on them. So when they fail, whether they're on town water or well or not, if the sewer doesn't go there, they have to repair with
I
IAs.
guess what I'm saying is the concept of an aggregate plan, as I understood it, was to create the equivalent of the absorption area that would be required. Okay, if our lots were 1 acre, and the ones in Zone B, would they be required to put an IA system in?
They would if they were in the Nantucket Harbor watershed.
Well, no, I'm talking about Hummock Pond B.
Yeah, but Hummock Pond B has that ore in there, and whenever we can sewer, we should sewer, and if we can't do that, we need an IA system. We have to get away from conventional systems. They just aren't good enough. And IA systems, I've learned in the last few months, aren't even that good either on a relative scale.
On the criteria for a nitrogen loading aggregate plan, it doesn't even meet most of the criteria in there. It's not ground down gradient of the Zone B of Hummock Pond where your subdivision cluster is. It's down the street,
The 55 acres reaches all the way
Right,
back
but it
to
has to
Bartlett
be,
Farm.
it's nothing, you don't own anything down gradient of where all those septic systems are that
Yeah,
flow
so-
towards the harbor.
So that
towards the
vacant
Hummock
land's
Pond.
really
It's
not
like owning
helping.
another piece of land in Wisconsin somewhere.
Yeah, okay, that's key. So it's really not helping.
No,
It's just-
you said it earlier, that there's no benefit to Hummock Pond.
It's just, I understand.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Well, I just want to know how, if we approve this, how does it affect Fisher's Landing?
It doesn't affect.
Doesn't affect at all.
It doesn't affect it at all.
No, the remaining lots that were in there, the 10,000 square foot ones, we gave them 3 bedrooms. The half-acre lots, we gave them 4, which they could do 3 with a,
Right.
they got 1 extra. There's
Well,
6, there
what
were
if
6
this-
lots available. But
What if one of
anybody
their
who-
system fails?
They have
They have to put it,
repair with IA.
hey,
Okay.
that's,
Because,
And I
because
know-
we didn't do an aggregate plan for them, right?
No.
no, we did not do an aggregate
All right.
plan. We negotiated bedrooms.
So
No.
the people who have any issues down the road in there are gonna have to repair
With an IA.
with an IA if, you know, they're slated to be sewered, but, you know, who knows when that's gonna be. So I haven't seen any repairs in there recently with,
I know why.
you know, but if they are, they'll have to repair with IA.
And how many bedrooms can they have if they're on a 10,000 square foot lot with an IA?
Well, the vacant lots. it's
No, the ones that
pre-
the ones that failed.
Well, it's pre-existing to what the number of bedrooms.
So
that
they
you
would,
have
if
for
they
your
had
septic.
6, we have to give them
You
6.
can't take it away.
All right. Any other comments? Any other comments from? So, the first question is the aggregate plan, and the second question well, we really don't have to do anything about Zone B unless the system fails.
Unless the system fails. But the
Would it be easier for you if we had some policy?
we can always set up an internal policy. Usually, what we'll always do is do strict adherence to the regulation.
Because the regulations say or.
Yeah, it says or, but the or is acceptable to the Board of Health, which is why it's here in front of you.
Well,
So if we set up an or, and if we set up the technology that is acceptable to the Board of Health, we have to give that to everyone else in the same
yes.
situation. Ultimately, it's very similar to like the Supreme Court. All the things that are there don't always match up directly, so each case is different.
Each
So-
case is different, and everyone always has a right to come here and ask for a
Exactly.
variance.
Exactly.
But our policy states that anyone within the watershed that has a conventional system that fails will have
Mm-hmm.
to repair it with an IA.
If you don't have 10,000 square feet. per
Right.
bedroom.
Yes.
That's right.
That's our present policy.
That is the
So
present policy.
do we need to do anything about that?
So the request here is to do that aggregation so that technically, in the technical sense, they have
Well,
40,000 square feet. It's the argument that you were saying about the down
Yeah,
gradient
well,
portion.
to me, the land is in the wrong place.
And,
it's
and
not
that's,
helping anything.
that's the argument that's on the board right now.
All right. Anyone else? So
I mean, there's the aspect of the financial hardship to people too that I'd like you to consider.
I'm very well aware of that, and it's a real problem. The sewer expense is a problem. IAs is a problem. The problem is, and I said this before, this island was not designed for the number of people that now live here, and we have to deal with that. And unfortunately, we have to deal with that financially, or eventually we won't have an island. And there was a lot of discussion about sewers and all, but it's the dump, it's the sewers, it's fertilizer, and we're not supposed to have 15,000 people on this island or 50,000 people in summer. That's just not designed for that. And unfortunately, we all, at some degree, have to bear some financial responsibility, or we could draw lots and decide who's going to leave. You know, would be another option. But I don't think that's going to happen. All right, I need a motion to approve or disapprove the aggregate plan.
I'll motion to disapprove the aggregate plan.
And then we'll take another motion about policy of the IA systems. How's that? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? The motion is not to approve the plan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Chairman says aye. The plan is not approved.
May I just ask one additional question? For the homes that are outside of the Zone B, can we formalize the fact that they would be able to replace their systems?
Well,
Yeah, they're outside the zone, it's maximum feasible compliance.
I don't know
So
what that means.
It's,
It means that, yes, you can
Yes.
definitely
yeah,
replace it with
we
the
don't need to do
conventional
anything about that.
systems.
That's the way it
There is
is.
a regulation or something?
Yes, it's the State Title V. I can get that
Yeah,
to you.
it's
in-
part of the,
So if somebody has a 4-bedroom system on a half acre, they're
You will
outside
get a
of B,
4-bedroom.
They
They're-
get to
they're
repair it
replace-
like with conventional.
replace it with
Yeah.
conventional.
now the other issue is if a system fails in Zone B or needs repair, et cetera, do we want to require that they become IA systems?
I would recommend yes.
I would,
I mean, I would do that, but I can't speak for the boards. So-
I would say yes.
So then I would like a motion, I'd like to hear a motion on that. That if systems that have to be replaced will be replaced with IA systems in Zone B.
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
second?
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chairman votes aye.
Yeah, that solves a lot of the issues because the Zone B was always a
That will make, because it,
up in the air.
I remember, I'm not going to go
Yeah.
back. Okay. And thank you for your input. I understand your issue, but this is what we have to do. All right. I just lost my agenda.
The ACO.
We have, I just lost my agenda. Here we go. We have an ACO
Yes, same thing.
for Meadowview Drive.
Yep, ACO on 20 Meadowview Drive, waiting for the sewer to show up. Straightforward. No problem with it.
Any comments?
Is there temporary repairs?
Yeah, it's a Band-Aid repair.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the ACO for 20 Meadowview Drive?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. The ACO for Meadowview Drive is approved. We have variance from IA in Wellhead District
Yes, so
for 17 Woodland Drive.
Yes, 17 Woodland Drive is asking to be exempted from the IA system. They are in the wellhead protection right now, and they do have a system that is not in compliance with the regulation. We would require them to put in an IA. We've asked them to put in the IA, but they are asking right now for the variance in order to not put in the IA. So I'll let Victoria, if you want to talk.
Hello, Victoria Ewing.
Greetings.
So basically, the owner, when he purchased this, Richmond Great Point Development sold it to him, and they had to do some extensive work to the septic system and repair it at that point. I believe that was in January of 2014. And from what I understand from Mr. Crowley, Richard Ray signed off on that without needing it to be upgraded to an IA system because it was connected to town water at the time. And since then, locally, decisions and conversations have gone now to what you guys were just discussing.
The IA.
The upgrade has to go to the IA system.
Well, he missed that because
Oh, okay.
town water not in a map 2 of a wellhead protection zone. You
Should
need
have been an
10,000, it
automatic.
should have been
It's
automatic.
automatic.
Yeah. So the owner proceeded with the second dwelling approval and everything else design with the assumption that the 4-bedroom system was all set. So we understand where you guys stand, though.
Yep. Any comments, questions?
I would just, we missed it, but you don't know when town sewer
Right.
is going to come there.
And Mr.
That's
Crowley
a,
and I spoke about that. It could be a couple
that's a
years down the
private
road.
subdivision.
Yeah.
They got to get easements.
Exactly. Richmond's going to put in sewer lines, or I think might have already installed them behind, but they don't have permission to let anyone connect there, so that's not an
But-
option either.
I know the IA is expensive, but last meeting, we approved a policy where if sewer comes in and you have an IA system, you have 10 years from the time of
Okay.
permitting to hook up the sewer.
Okay.
We did that.
With the expense needing to be spent now versus that coming in.
We thought that would be fair
Fair.
for people.
Yeah.
So that's board policy right
Okay.
now.
It's island-wide, so.
That's good to know to advise.
So,
And the Board of Selectmen said they were going to be voting on waivers for fees.
well, we
As well.
can't do
Right,
fees.
the
Yeah.
conversation's
That's
still
got nothing to
ongoing.
do with us.
Right.
There's nothing to us. The point is, permitted is this year. That means whenever the sewer comes, they don't have to hook up to the sewer for 10 years.
Okay.
So do I have a motion to approve or not approve this variance?
I'd motion to disapprove.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? The motion is to not approve the variance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Chairman says aye. Variance is denied. Variance from Well Setbacks,
Yes. So this one is
Arlington Street.
Yes, this is Arlington Street. Mr. Gasparo has asked us to speak here today. He is asking for a variance from the setbacks of the wells, which is the 100 feet. There is a repair on the property here on the plan that you have in front of you. It does fall within the well protection, the private well protection zone, but it is the maximum feasible compliance available on that lot. So they're asking for these variances
Could I just
to
see that?
connect.
Yep.
I looked at this before. Okay. Yes, I remember this. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Arthur Gasparo, for the applicant. Again, as the director stated, this is essentially an upgrade of an existing system that's a failed leach pit. It's a 4-bedroom system, and we're proposing a 4-bedroom repair. I really have very little other alternatives. This falls under what we would consider local upgrade approval, and it's brought to the board on the basis that the relief that we're asking, just to expand a little bit, is to allow the leach trenches to be approximately 81 feet. I've rounded it down to, say, no less than 80 from the existing well. I can't move the well. You can see the well is right up against the back property line.
Right.
It's an 8,000 square foot lot, and we have added and are proposing to make this an IA system, and it was a conventional system. So that's where we feel that we meet the criteria of maximum feasible compliance, given that the distances are as far as possible. I would mention the other relief that's been requested is for a reduction in the setback from 10 feet to 5 feet for a property line. And what that does is that allows us to get a little bit further away from the well.
Okay.
In other words, that 5 feet pushes it towards the road. So we're not even getting closer really to another neighbor there with that. And again, I hope the board would approve that. And I'm not sure we really have too much else for options there.
Questions from the board? Comments? Seems you have no choice.
Yeah, no choice, right?
You had no.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
I mean, it was
Not a good choice.
I could go on a little bit. We
But
could
that's
look
right.
at alternative, but
All right. I hear a motion to approve or disapprove this variance.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? The motion is to approve the variance for 5 Arlington Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Chairman votes aye. Variance is approved.
thank you.
Thank you, Art. 15 delay.
Conversion of irrigation well to provide water well request. 5 Delaney Street.
Yes. So this one is it's 15 Delaney.
I'm sorry.
This is a well that was installed for irrigation purposes, and they are looking to transfer it over to potable water well at this point. Artel did deny the request for the well to be turned over to a potable water, mainly because of how close it was to the sewer line. It is within the 50 feet, and one of them is within one sewer manhole is within 15 feet
Yep.
of the well. So he denied this for that matter, and they are appealing it to the
We
board.
have a map here.
Not with me, no.
I-
It was in the packet.
Well, I looked at it before.
Yeah.
Just,
PDF.
I'd like to see
would
that.
help. If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Please go right ahead.
So for the applicant, again, Arthur Gasparo, what you have in front of you is, as the director stated, there's an existing irrigation well. The applicant has gone through the complete application process as if it were a new well. notified, I believe it was 42 abutters, paid the fee, did the certified survey plan, and submitted a full application. And again, the concern is that the proximity to a sealed sewer system, and the regulations specifically that apply here, the only regulation that we can find is there's a reference in your local regulation 62.03, which states that a well should be, as far as possible, from potential sources of contamination. We feel that that's extremely broad, and it doesn't actually prohibit what's being applied for. In other words, there's no regulation that's applicable here that says the well must be X feet from a sewer line or a sewer manhole. Further, we believe that, again, a sewer system, sealed pipes, sealed manhole, up elevation, I think that that stuff is fairly shallow in that area, so a few feet deep, maybe 5 feet, say. And the well is actually sucking or drawing water from down approximately 60 feet. So you've got a large vertical separation distance there, along with the horizontal distance that you have. So again, we don't believe that there is really any threat to public health or safety from approving the well.
Do we need the well? Don't we have town water there?
Well, again, even if you have town water, there's nothing that says you must connect to town water, and so the owner would like to have well water. So that's really there's nothing that says you must have town water, and we don't have a regulation that says it must be a certain distance away. So
we don't have a regulation.
You have an owner. Right, that might be another thing to discuss. But
that's interesting.
I would say
that's interesting.
I found over the years, I've permitted plenty of wells where folks had town water. They don't want to pay for town water, right? You get that bill every month. You could just, there's a certain capital cost. And now I don't know if that's the case here. Someone maybe just, wants the town water. Wants the well water.
It's the same water, isn't it?
Well, yes, I think there's Nantucket's a sole source aquifer. I don't understand the motivation of one owner during another, but again, every property owner has different feelings, as we all know. And in this case, we don't feel and don't believe that there is really something that says they can't have this well, except that there's an interpretation that something might happen. So we don't really feel that it's fair to not have this well approved.
Okay. Questions from the board?
I don't have any problem with granting the variance, but I would advise this board to look into setting some type of regulation and having a hearing, maybe with Bob Gardner, and see, what we can come up with, if kind of like the sewer regulation 69. If you got a sewer line in front of your house, it's mandatory hookup. And I'll give you an example of my wife's hometown in Marshfield. Years ago, when the town brought the water down in front of her street, they had no choice but to get off their well. It was mandatory. Unless you wanted to use it for irrigation or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think the policy should be here. You don't bring a utility to somebody and then just say tie up when you want.
Well, maybe Roberta, you can put on your list to look into that.
Sounds good.
Down the road.
But if you want to use a well, I'm fine with that. But I would definitely make sure that the water company knows that they're, on the well and not, for billing purposes for sewer. That place is on town sewer.
Right. What's happening now? You're getting billed for your water?
Yes, it's on town water. Yeah, we're the general contractors. The owner is adamant about, desiring his own well.
All right. Just a second. So, down the road, we need to discuss that. There may be reasons for it and reasons not for it. Well, I'd like to hear every opinion. So back to this one. Any questions about this?
I have a question. That manhole, down the bottom of that manhole, if it's like any all the manholes that I've seen in my life, those pipes are all open, so that if that manhole gets plugged up, the sewer company, the town can get down there and rod the bottom of those sewers out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 or 4 lines going in there that are basically, when you take the cover off, there's raw sewage at the bottom of that pit.
Yeah, I could,
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Go right ahead. Just please identify yourself.
Sorry about that. Jeff Kashulik. The pit that's closest is a tight. The one well across the street, I think 50 feet or greater, is what you're alluding to.
Well, what's at the bottom of this manhole?
Excuse me?
What's
it's, oh, no. It's pure sand. What there is there's 3 homes that all tied into a quote-unquote small manhole. It's actually 3 foot wide. Okay, it's not in the street; it's on the shoulder.
Yeah.
And then it crosses the street and dumps into
So
the much
at the
larger
bottom of the manhole, you're talking about that's 12 feet or whatever away from where? There's no sewage in the bottom of it.
Yeah, no, it's tight. I mean, it's pure sand. There's a clean out on the top that you would have to unscrew to clean it out. But the pit in question is the one on the other side of the street that you're alluding to right there. In terms of.
And how far away is that?
Oh,
I'm just worried about if the sewer backs up into that manhole.
It's going to come up in the manhole.
It's going to come up into that manhole, and then it's going to seep down into the ground.
No, it's the manhole's got a
Right.
bottom.
Oh, it does?
yeah,
Okay.
if I may.
All right.
It's precast.
Okay.
So
Oh, it's all
mono-
precast?
It's
Okay.
a monolithic precast basin on both of them that
Okay.
we're talking
I'm
about.
sorry. Yes,
So
my
I
fault.
think,
My fault.
and so to happen to occur what you would be talking about, it literally would have to surcharge and come out at the surface out of the
All
steel
right.
manhole
Okay.
cover. But it's a sealed monolithic bore.
Okay.
precast.
Gotcha.
I'm all right.
Any other questions, discussions? So I need a motion to approve or disapprove the variance.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second? Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chairman will vote aye on this. Although it was questionable, I'll vote aye.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, we have a hearing for 7A Hillside.
Yes.
Before I open the hearing, you just want to give me a background, and then we'll open the hearing.
Yes. So on October 4th, we did an inspection. We did multiple inspections on the town housing at Hillside Avenue, 7A, 7B, and I believe 5A and 5B for the basic housing code inspections. We did find a few issues here and there on the other 3 units, but in 7A Hillside Avenue, when we did do the inspection, we did see an excessive amount of clutter. We classified it on the federal hoarding scale to be approximately a 5 or a 6. Everything that is considered 4 or above is considered to be impinging upon the health and safety of the occupant. So we issued an order to correct, in order to clean up the cluttered areas, just bring it up to a habitable condition to a minimum of a 3 on the hoarding scale.
And you have a time limit on it?
And we did offer 14 days from the receipt of the letter. The owners or the occupants asked for a hearing to appeal that letter, that order to correct. The state housing code requires that the hearing be heard within 30 days.
Okay.
The next hearing is beyond, the next Board of Health meeting is beyond 30
Okay.
days. So we put it on
So that's why we actually had to add it to the agenda.
Which is why we had to
So I
add it to the
make
agenda.
sure we follow all the rules.
Exactly. No, the state code requires that
Yeah,
it's
okay,
within.
so that's why we did. All right, so the hearing is officially open. Please identify yourself.
My name is Paul Frazier. I'm actually wanting to ask for a continuance because when we applied for the hearing, it was so that we wouldn't lose our right to a hearing, because we had 7 days within receipt of the letter, and we have every intention to address the issues that were posed by the inspectors, and the next inspection isn't due until the 4th of November.
That's within your 3 weeks.
That is within the 2 weeks, yes.
And what happens if they're not complied?
That's the question of the hearing here, because if they haven't complied by November 4th, we're required to start fining, or if
Well, you can do that without us. I mean, do we?
Yeah.
Right,
You're asking for-
I'm just asking for a continuance of the hearing, because if we have the inspection and there is no issue, then there's no need for a hearing. But we have some disagreements with the situation, but at the same time, we're willing to work with the Department of Health in trying to address the concerns.
Comments from the board?
Well, differences you have with the health, with
Well,
the health department be worked out, or?
Well, actually,
it can be.
I mean, you're not asking for a hearing anymore.
I'm asking
Yeah,
for a
right.
continuance of the hearing.
That's right.
I'm asking for it to be held over to the next.
Well, that will be the third Thursday in November.
18th.
7, yeah.
Well, that's up to the health department, isn't it? Is that up
I
to us?
went in to talk to the health department, and the lady at the desk told me that the reason why that the meeting was set for today was because there's a 30-day period in which I'm supposed to be getting a hearing, and the next meeting, the 18th, is outside of the 30 days.
Well, we opened the hearing today. We can continue the hearing. And then
I'm
enrollment requirements.
not prepared to have the hearing today because I came to ask for a continuance.
So you're not officially contesting the order by asking for a delay of the hearing.
I am. The reason that we requested the hearing was because if we did not request the
I
hearing,
got you.
we would lose our right to a hearing.
Comments from the board?
We still have
We have an order in place.
You have an order.
And it
Listen.
has to be met into compliance by November 4th.
Yeah.
If it's not met into compliance, you will still lose your right to the
Right,
hearing.
but we would. So you're saying we would still lose our right to a hearing?
We could leave the hearing open.
Well, the hearing is to contest the order to correct. That's the sole purpose of the hearing. It's either we don't order the correction or we do order the correction. It's not
But we've
whether
ordered
what types of correction.
So we can confirm we have ordered the correction.
Yeah.
So the hearing.
We can, if
I'm
this
just a
is right,
simple
can we
physician.
order
I
the
wish I was a
corrections?
lawyer. All right.
We can order the corrections, right?
Yes,
And you can give him more time. Is that right?
if we wanted to.
If he
yes.
wants
Okay,
to.
so we don't have to get involved in the time period. We just get involved saying that he has to have the things corrected.
Exactly.
Okay, fine.
Right. So what
I'll make a motion.
Fine.
I make a motion that we say that he has to have the corrections done.
Well, the motion is that we confirm the health department's order.
Right.
Okay.
Let me get this straight. We're having the hearing right now whether or not the health department's order is
Valid.
valid, because I'm not prepared to fight that fight at this moment, because it requires me to get my own proof for you that I can have more than just my own words.
Well, let me ask you one question then. Are you saying that you don't think you'll have it done even if he gives you an extension?
I think that we'll have it done.
Right.
I just.
See, at this point, we have no evidence to refute the order. None has been presented because you're not prepared, which is so. At this point, what we're saying is that we're going to pass a motion to confirm the order, and then you can always request. We can close the hearing and have another hearing if you want to object to that, or we can leave the hearing open. But at this hearing, we're going to pass a resolution that you have to follow the orders of the health department.
Right.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor that supports the order as issued by the health department. And do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of that motion that supports the order of the Health Department, say aye.
Aye.
The chairman says aye, and that's carried. And the hearing is, this hearing is now closed without objection.
Right.
And if you want to contest that when he starts fining you or whatever, then you can have another, you can come back.
Okay.
How's that sound?
Well, we would have to issue a new order at that point anyway.
You'd have to issue a new order,
A new order.
and then you have the option to come back, and we'll have another hearing based on the new order. No, that's why we're here.
And that's it. The next one is the director's report, and we are in the process of doing our budget and our 5-year plan. I will be, once I get it approved by town administration, I'll be presenting it here at hopefully the next Board of Health meeting. I'm happy to say that the 5-year plan looks good. A lot of it is based on our sewer work groups and but I am also looking to increase a lot of our community health, so we can finally get into the actual
To be a real health.
to be a real health department.
All right.
I am rewriting a vision and a mission statement that I would like the Board of Health to approve before
Right.
we adopt it, so that we can create a new direction. And at the end of that 5-year plan, I'm looking to put in health department accreditation. So if
That would be
things
great.
if things go well, we will be a fully accredited health department by 2021, which is the gold standard.
Well, that's the way we want to be.
So we're really looking forward to it, and I should have that in your hands by November 17th or
That's
18th. In the
Whenever
next
the meeting is.
The venison donation program is definitely stalled this year. We
It's too
thought
bad.
we were able to get a butcher, but I still haven't heard from him. So, okay, Hank is saying that I will tomorrow. So hopefully we're holding out for this one last person. If things go well, we will have the venison donation program. If not, we will have to cancel it.
Oh,
for
we
this
missed the
year.
archery season.
We're missing the archery season, but we will still be able to get shotgun and primitive firearms, and there's still enough time to do the advertising for that. And then one last thing, so that we can start heading out, is before everyone leaves, I do need the rest of the signatures from the betterment loan from last meeting. The betterment loan and the ACO are a little different. The betterment loan does need a majority of the board to sign, but the ACO only needs the chairs. So I do need your signatures before you leave today.
Okay.
And that's it.
Any questions for the director, for the board?
Oh, sorry, one more thing. Scalloping is good to go. We did lift the ban on the scallops. They did show up negative for the toxin, so scallop season is good to go. We are still waiting to hear back on clams and oysters.
Oysters.
Okay, just ask one.
Go, anything you want, that's why we're here.
Talked about one of the variances last week, the other meeting we had was the places like in the that are getting sewer, like a house sale. Do we do something to speed that process up? Like it passes, but it fails in regulation?
Yes, but they're going to be getting sewer.
Yeah, but
Is
they're
it-
going to get sewer.
So what we've been doing is internally to make it a lot easier, because a lot of banks are starting to
Oh,
either kick back the ACO or just asking for escrow. So what we've been doing is if they're looking to go to the escrow account or the alternative methodology, what we're asking for is to get a letter from the purchasing lawyer explaining that, yes, we do understand that sewer is coming. Yes, the system is okay, but it is in technical failure. And yes, we will connect the sewer within the 6 months that it is there. And they are signing it and recording it with the
And
purchase.
they just have to come see you for that, right?
Exactly.
Not,
Yeah, they don't have to go here.
because I've had one come up recently. I can't change the report as a legal document. They want me to say this stuff, but I can't.
Exactly. No, they've been coming to us, and we've been signing it off and saying that, yes, this is in technical compliance.
Roberta, I have one question I want to
Yes,
bring
sir.
up. If the Nantucket thing passes at the election, okay, we're looking at 10 years.
Mhm.
So what is our outlook
Actually,
It might be
it's
fast
very
tracks.
serendipitous that.
What is our, no, I'm talking about the Board of Health. What is our outlook if it is in fact 10 years? What are we looking at? As far as variances from people, or, I mean,
It's the same way as we're approaching.
can we just keep telling them for the next 10 years to patch the system?
Well, when you patch the system, it should be good for more than 10 years. It should last all 10 years without a problem. We're just not asking them to put in the IAs. So they're as long as they're in compliance and their system is working, we're not allowing hydraulic failures in anywhere. The system has to be working. We're just telling them that they don't have to put in the IA.
Okay, so if it is a failure, they'd have to put an IA in.
They do have to replace it with a conventional system. They replace it with a conventional system, but they do have to meet the separation.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, for some people, most of the people in Nantucket, that means mounting their
Yep.
systems and putting in a pump. But it is still cheaper than putting in a Septitech or
Okay.
That's
Advantage.
All right, I'm
It's
just,
only in certain areas.
and even then, it's only in certain areas.
There won't be that many. Will there be a few? There may be.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anything else? Just also for your information, just an update on the genetic mice project. The Martha's Vineyard is interested, and it's going forward to the next phase where we'll actually have a steering committee set up to supervise the project. And they will follow the outline of the operational plan as we devised. So
Is this combined, the two islands combined, or?
there'll be a representative from each island on the steering committee. Now, whether each island eventually agrees to that is another issue, but we will have the right to appoint someone to the steering committee, and so will Martha's Vineyard. And, of course, that will take as long as the silvering. All right, do we hear anything else?
one more question. I
Yes,
wanna ask.
please.
Do we have a budget?
The Board of Health does not have a budget. The Health Department has a budget.
Okay. And we're included in them? They wrap their arms around us, do they?
They don't pay us.
I just wanted to make sure they wrap their arms around us.
Thanks for having noticed.
I went through this before, and very few boards actually have a budget.
Right,
The
okay.
budget is in the staff.
Okay.
So,
I am looking, and I did ask, and I did get a go-ahead at least to do some preliminary research on creating a Friends of group, kind of like a Friends of the Nantucket Health Department. I only know of Needham, who has one so far, so I'm looking to meet with Tim McDonald to discuss that so that we can create some non-encumbered funding. So makes it a little bit easier if that's...
That'll work.
okay, if any other issue, if I hear no objections, we will close the meeting by unanimous consent.
Don't forget to sign, guys.